Alright, today we have to solve or learn about a point, line, segment, and ray. Okay, what exactly is a point? As you can see, if we have to mark you can see a point here. This is a point and it is labeled by a capital letter. It can be, here it's called an A, but you can write any letter that is appropriate. Okay, okay, just a capital letter. So a capital letter is used to represent a point. That's what a point looks like. It's just a mark, right? Okay, if we talk about a line, so what we can talk about the line is it continues forever in both direction. And arrows are used to represent when the continuation happens. So you can see here we have an arrow at both the ends, right, which shows that the line continues forever in both the direction. So whenever we talk about a line or draw a line, we have to mark arrows on both the sides. Okay, for an arrow there is no end point, so there is no specific order. So line AB or BA, whatever suits you, order doesn't matter. Okay, now segment, as the word suggests, segment means a portion of the line, right? So it does end, it cannot continue forever. And you can see here, whenever we draw a segment, we have to mark points on both the sides, which shows the end points, which doesn't mean that it continues forever. And in this case you can write segment AB, right? The last is ray. A ray has one endpoint, and from one direction it continues forever. Okay, so one endpoint, and from one side it continues forever. And there is a specific order. For example, you can see here we have to write the point that is with the endpoint first. So ray A and then B, right? A is the endpoint, so always first. Okay, ray AB is not equal to BA, which means that whenever we're writing about the ray, order does matter. Okay, the endpoint is always named first. This is a common mistake on tests. So you see here the endpoint is A and it comes first. It will always be first. Let me scroll down. Line, segment, and rays. This is some more information about the line, segment, and ray. Line segment, we talked about that it has two endpoints, and you can see here that a line segment is used to represent when the plane flies from city to city, so which means it does have endpoints, right? So we can use a line segment to represent this kind of a situation. Okay, and this is a line segment with the endpoints on both the sides. Has two endpoints. That's what a line segment is. Does not go on forever in any direction. Named segment AB, endpoints only. Segment is equal to two endpoints, stops both ways. Whereas if we talk about ray, one endpoint and goes forever but in one direction. Okay, so the perfect example would be to represent that the rays of the sun that we receive, it goes on forever. There is no stop, right? But in one direction. For example, it does have a stop in one direction because it starts from the sun. We cannot say that it goes beyond the sun as well. So we cannot have an arrow here. No, that's wrong. So to represent the ray of the sun, we can use the concept of ray that has been introduced to us by mathematics. Okay, so ray it is. Okay, sunlight starts here, goes on forever in one direction, so a ray would be a perfect thing to use in this particular case. It starts at one endpoint, goes forever in one direction, named ray AB, endpoint first. Okay, that's a rule. Right now we have three questions. 2 questions are regarding the concept that we just covered, but 1 question is regarding the angle that we haven't covered in this video, but I'll explain when we get to it. Okay, the first question: how is a line different from a line segment? The options are: A, a line has 1 endpoint, a segment has 2. Okay, if you talk about a line, and if you talk about a line segment, let's see how many endpoints are there. Let's see, a line has 1 endpoint. Is it true or not? You see here, we discussed that line has 2 endpoints, right? Okay, and a segment has, line goes on forever in both the direction, and segment has 2 endpoints. Whereas, so we can see that a line does not have even 1 endpoint. So this statement is not true. This is not true because a line does not have any endpoint, right? Okay, a line goes on forever. Yes, we discussed that the line is something that we can draw like this, is open in both the direction, continuous forever in both directions. A segment has 2 endpoints. Yes, that is perfectly fine. We assume that the other 2 must be incorrect, so let's see. They are the same thing. They are not the same thing. A segment is longer than a line. No, it isn't. Alright, the second question is regarding the angles. Which angle type is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180? So this is a question that we haven't covered in this video, but if you talk about the 90-degree angle, we call that as a right angle triangle or right angle, right? If it's lesser than 90, we call that as an acute angle. If I define properly, an acute angle is something that is between this 0 degrees and 90 degrees, right? If it lies somewhat here, then we call that angle as an acute angle. But if an angle is greater than this 90, but it is less than this 180, which means it lies somewhat here, or somewhat here, right? In between 90 degrees and 180, we call that as an obtuse angle. Let me write it here. Obtuse angle. Right? Which angle type is greater than 90 but less than 180? So that would be obtuse. Okay. Acute angle, right angle, obtuse angle. We have discussed that. Straight angle would be an angle which is exactly of 180 degrees, right? Which makes a straight line. Okay, name each figure shown below. Here we just have gone through the definitions. Let's solve. This is a point. Now all the options that do not have point as the first word are eliminated, right? Okay, this has, okay, so this is array, perfect, 1 endpoint. Okay, now is this a segment? No, it isn't a segment, because if it were a segment, it would have 2 endpoints, right, for a segment. So what actually is it? It's a line, and it's shown that it goes on forever in both the direction. So point, line, and ray. The first one is eliminated. We discussed that the second one is not a segment, so B it is. Okay, that is it for this video. I hope you understand. Thank you.